And now, the Rink Rap Podcast from Forever Blueshirts, talking all things New York Rangers hockey. Here's your host, Jim Cerny.
What's up, Rangers faithful? Happy New Year. Welcome to the Rink Rap Podcast. I'm Jim Cerny here at foreverblueshirts.com. Appreciate all your support last year. Thanks for coming to join us in a new year, 2026. It is here. It is now. And it's the same old crap with the New York Rangers, right? Oh, they suck you in. You want to leave. You want to give up. You want to throw your arms up in the air. You want to be pissed off. And then they suck you back in. In the Winter Classic, they show you what they can be, what they can do, at least for one night. If you can do it one night, why can't you do it, I don't know, consistently? Their best players are their best players. And they take out the two-time defending Stanley Cup champion Florida Panthers down in Miami, Lone Depot Park. Big stage. Big players come up big on a big stage. That was a good win. Boy, the Rangers look good, right? And boy, they talked it up afterwards. This is going to be a turning point. Sully kept talking about how this could be a turning point. This is a fresh start, Mika Zibanejad said. Hell of a fresh start for Mika, who, listen, has had himself a really good year, but he had himself an incredible night down in Miami. The first 5-point outdoor game in NHL history, the first hat trick in Winter Classic history. I mean, Mika was just flying, had the jets going. And I'm not saying he hasn't played well this year, because he has. He's probably been the Rangers' most consistent forward, night in, night out, with effort and production, two-way play, 200-foot game, like a 180 from Mika Zibanejad from last year. But boy, he doesn't have nights like that. I guess who does? Connor McDavid does. Okay, Nathan McKinnon does. I know he's not in that stratosphere. But boy, it whets your appetite when you see him play that way. When you see Artemi Panarin play that way, when you see the power play click that way, when you see Igor stand on his head, 36 saves on 37 shots, your best players are your best players on the big stage. They come up big, right? Now listen, I've done this long enough not to get sucked in because one really good game, and they've had some good moments this year, the Rangers, right? But I know so many people were just getting reeled in, like the fishermen reeling in the big catch. They were getting reeled in by their team for a night, and then 48 hours after that, right? It's so many Ranger fans until the next game. So many Ranger fans really, really buying in and believing that this team that's played a lot of mediocre hockey, roller coaster first half of the season, but yet still in the mix, still in the playoff mix in the Eastern Conference, the watered down, parity driven Eastern Conference. You still have a chance. Sully kept telling you that leading up to the Winter Classic, after the Winter Classic, and all those phrases, fresh start. This could be the thing that turns it around. And again, listen, I was impressed with how they played on the big stage at the Winter Classic. But I've been around long enough to know that one game is one game. Can they carry it over? They haven't shown the ability to do that this season, last season for sure. But even when they had good moments last year, the inability to string them together has been their undoing. And it's been that way this season too. And then came Monday. Now, some of this is not their fault, but Rangers were exposed by the Utah Mammoth. And I get it. I know Igor goes down in the first period, and we're going to talk a lot about that. But the Rangers were exposed, whether Igor was on the ice or Igor was injured or Quick was in the game or Igor was in, it doesn't matter. those fast skating teams, those young, hungry teams that can skate are going to give the Rangers trouble all night long because they have been all season. We've seen it. Doesn't mean the Rangers can't win those games, but boy, did they struggle against teams that can skate. All right. They look slow against Montreal. I know. Listen, I know. You're going, but wait, they won. They beat Montreal. I know. Boy, they have trouble keeping up with those teams. Now, they found a way to, in the latter stages to come back against the Canadiens. That December game at the Garden. It was one of the most exciting games of the season. One of the best comebacks of the season for the Rangers. One, in JT Miller's overtime goal. But still, they had a hell of a tough time against a really good offensive team that can skate, young Montreal. Utah gave them the same trouble. Anaheim gave them the same trouble. San Jose gave them the same trouble. And there are other teams too. Listen, there are other teams that are far quicker to the puck, quicker decision-making, but at the end of the day can just flat out outskate the New York Rangers. Utah exposed them again on Monday night. And that was a fear in the back of my mind. I'm thinking, listen, Florida can skate, but Florida is, they like to get in, grind, high shot volume, but, they want to get to the net and get behind the net and win puck battles. It's a little bit of a different vibe. Now, listen, Utah got to the net too. Well, again, we're going to talk about that. The Rangers were exposed there. And I get it. There's a little pall hanging over the Garden and the Rangers, with Igor getting hurt. But there they are. They're 2-1 up in the third period. They allow a goal and they can't score at even strength. Their power play was cooking. 2 more power play goals on Monday night, but just not generating nearly enough at even strength. And they have a golden opportunity to score again on the power play late. Utah really defended that one well. They changed their structure, I thought, completely. They really shut things down in and around Vejmelka and kept the Rangers to the outside. Rangers, unable to really generate much. I know Mika hit the outside of the post on the one shot. Rangers relying on that power play. Boy, that's an old story, right? We know that. If the power play gets shut down, are they going to score enough? No. The answer was no on Monday night. And Utah scored a winner. They did a really good job. Rangers got stuck. Their guys got stuck on the ice for more than a minute. Utah was able to switch up their 3 skaters. So they had three guys with fresh legs out there. They win the game. So there is that. So there was your follow-up to the Winter Classic. I wasn't shocked. Maybe you were. Maybe you were buying it hook, line, and sinker. That's, hey, the fresh start. Things turned around. Everything's better after the Winter Classic. Well, they're not. The Rangers are who they are. They're not out of the playoff race just because they lost Monday. And they're not a favorite either to earn a playoff spot. They are what they are. They're mediocre, a whole bunch of other mediocre teams. However, not only do they lose Igor Shesterkin, and I got to tell you, that was frightening to see him go down. It's a non-contact injury. Yes, what sets up the injury is that he's reacting to JJ Peterka flying down the middle of the ice, getting the step on Braden Schneider, trying to get to that rebound after Igor made that save. But it's a non-contact injury, even though the guy's kind of crashing the net there. That's the most frightening injury, I think. More frightening than a big, heavy collision. It's when you don't get hit, but yet you go down. And in Igor's case, hitting the blocker against the ice and, the microphones caught him screaming and all that. So you fear the worst. He couldn't put any any weight on his left leg as he was helped off the ice by the trainer and Vlad Gavrikov. And as he's going off there, you have to be thinking, not only is this not good for the Rangers, this is the worst case scenario, right, for the New York Rangers. But you got to be thinking, oh my gosh, you got to be kidding me. There goes the season. As much as I love Jonathan Quick, and again, we'll get to this. As much as I love Jonathan Quick and I believe in him, and I think he's having a hell of a season as the Rangers number 2. He turns 40 years old this month. You can talk about turning back the clock, and the guy's a 3-time Stanley Cup champion, and he's played terrific this season. Rangers have been really, really smart with Jonathan Quick's workload. Igor leads the league with 34 games started this year for goalies. Jonathan Quick had started 10. Spread out, always spread out. 5-6 days in between starts. And that's benefited. That's good coaching. That's good strategy. Right? That's a good job by the Rangers. That's a good game plan. But the game plan probably falls apart when Igor gets hurt. And now Jonathan Quick's going to have to play more. So, yeah, this is all going through your head, spinning through your head as you see Igor go off the ice. I admit, I looked at it. I'm not an alarmist, but I looked at the way he looked as he went off the ice and no weight on the left leg. I'm thinking, wow, this might be the last we see of Igor Shesterkin this season. Now, good news, bad news. The good news is that he wasn't immediately placed on LTIR. Rangers placed him on injured reserve with a lower body injury. So that's good. Emily Kaplan of ESPN reported, and I've tried to verify this make phone calls and talk to people and see if anybody knows anything more. Nobody does. But Emily Kaplan did report that Shesterkin avoided the worst case scenario. Now, of course, she didn't say what the worst case scenario is because the Rangers or her sources or whomever, nobody is saying what the exact nature of the injury is. Is it a left knee? Is it an ankle? Is it groin? Right? It could be any one of those things. But okay, on the surface level, he wasn't placed on LTIR. He was placed on IR, but not LTIR. And Emily Kaplan reports that they've averted the worst case scenario. So that's all good. However, they also said in these reports, and this is coming from the Rangers, the beat writers, get fed the same information by the Rangers, by Rangers PR, that he's going on IR, but still being evaluated. So that triggers a little something in your head. Still being evaluated, still some testing to be done. So then you fast forward again to Wednesday. Rangers return to practice. Mike Sullivan talks to the media for the first time since since the update on Igor Shesterkin from Tuesday. And he won't put a timeline on how long he expects Igor to be out. Now, I don't expect him to say, he's got this X, Y, and Z with his knee or groin or ankle or whatever it is. I don't expect him to do that. But typically, if he knows it's going to be, it should be, he should be week to week. We'll keep evaluating him like we did with JT Miller, his most recent injury, the upper body injury. He's week to week. Rangers didn't say that. He's still being evaluated. That still, to me, is keeping the door open for this might be a major injury, and he may still end up on LTIR. Nobody's told me that, okay? This is just from experience, reading the tea leaves, trying to read in between what Sully said, didn't say, what the Rangers have said, didn't say, what's being reported, what hasn't been reported. It's just a feeling. Listen, maybe Igor is back in, make up a number, 2 weeks. I mean, that would be unbelievable if that's the case. But I think the door is still slightly ajar that could be out longer term. He could end up on LTIR. We'll just have to wait and see. We'll see if there's more information, coming forth in coming days. Rangers may not have all the information yet to talk about a timeline. And that's why Sully dodged, the questions after practice on Wednesday. Something to keep an eye on. However, we all were waiting for the worst on Tuesday. And then we got a little bit of better news, as I said. Yeah, listen, what was reported by Kaplan and, he's on IR, not LTIR. Okay. That's certainly better than the way it looked when he skated off the ice. Oh, but wait, as they say, right? As the infomercials say, as the infomercials have, but wait, there's more. And the more isn't good because Adam Fox, late in the third period, sustained a lower body injury. Now remember, he's already missed 14 games. He's only 3 games back. This was his 3rd game back after missing 14 games, more than a month, with the upper body injury, the shoulder. No one saw the Fox injury. So I don't know if it's from a hit. I don't know if it's also a non-contact injury. I do know a couple years ago, there's no doubt that the Rangers really, and he did as well, obviously, but the Rangers really got submarined when Fox, he had his early season lower body knee injury. You remember the knee-on-knee hit against Carolina. And then in the first round of the playoffs, now he's back. He'd been playing for months. He took a hit on that knee again against the Washington Capitals in the first round. I mean, he played. He did not leave the lineup. He was able to play, contributed. He was not the same guy. And the Rangers, over time, especially as the competition got better and better, next Carolina, then Florida, his game diminished as the playoffs went on. Oh, so too did the Rangers' overall game. They did not have Adam Fox at 100%. So you wonder now if this is a similar injury. Is it tied to that? Is it a historical thing? We don't know. May not be a knee. Could be a groin. Could be an ankle. Could be a foot. Could be the other knee or the other side of the other leg or whatever. All we know is that out of the blue, Tuesday, as you're kind of digesting, okay, that's not such bad news about Igor Shesterkin. Oh boy, here's the kick in the groin. No pun intended. Adam Fox is heading back to LTIR. Like, they didn't hesitate telling you that that Fox is going to be LTIR. So that basically carries him to the end of the month. He's going to be out this month. Maybe he comes back. I guess he'd be eligible to come back the 31st. I think the Rangers play the Penguins that night. Then they have one game in February, that first week of February before the Olympic break. And then you got another 3 weeks off. So you could argue if this is a really, really, really serious injury and he's going to be out a couple months, he catches a break and the Rangers catch a break by having the Olympic break in there, where they're 3 weeks without a game. So he's not missing any Ranger games in there. And listen, he's not missing any Team USA games at the Olympics in there too, because you know the story there. So if the injury is that bad, and I don't know that it is, we don't know. We don't know the details. Maybe the Rangers catch a little bit of break with Fox not missing Ranger games in February. Now, we'll see. We know it's bad enough, whatever the injury is, that they immediately placed him on LTIR. It's not a Shesterkin. Well, we're not going to tell you what the timeline is. We're still figuring it out. He's being evaluated, but he's on IR. Now, this is do not pass go, head straight to LTIR for Adam Fox. And what a damn shame. And the power play had really come alive since he came back. You know, he only had 1 point on the power play, a power play goal against the Capitals on New Year's Eve. in the 3 games that he played, that he was back running point, playing quarterback on the power play. But it was a different vibe. And Sully says it all the time. The key thing with injuries is not only you're missing a key ingredient, Fox, Trocheck, Miller, Shesterkin now, Jonathan Quick, for a while, but okay. Too many examples, but you get the point. Not only do you miss their production and what they do to you, but then all of a sudden other people have to slot in to different positions. And we saw the power play crater without Adam Fox. Now, I think, and I stated it here on the show, I thought Sully stuck with the 5-forward top power play unit too long during Fox's first absence before he changed it up and Scott Morrow got a look, and that didn't go great. And then, Vladislav Gavrikov for the final game, the 14th game out of the 14 that Fox missed, Gavrikov was on the top power play unit. So guys go to spots. They're not slotted in to what they're accustomed to and where they'll most thrive. So Braden Schneider moves up to play with Gavrikov. I thought he did a good job, right? But when he goes up to the top pairing with Fox out at even strength, what happens to the third pairing then? The power play. You lose Fox. I know he's kind of irreplaceable. Rangers don't have another defenseman that can do what he does. So you put somebody else in there. It's just not the same. So he came back. My point was that the Rangers went 5 for 8 on the power play after Fox came back in those 3 games. He only had 1 point, the goal against the Capitals. But it's just his presence back there. It's the subtle plays that he makes, the calm demeanor. Sully talks about this all the time, right? The low panic threshold. That's what Sully said. That was one of the things he emphasized about Fox on the power play. The low panic threshold, having him back there, where he picks up a point or not. There's this calmness when he's out there running the power play. Now they won't have it for, another month, another, minimum, 24 days of LTIR. And it begins against the Buffalo Sabres, the red hot Buffalo Sabres on Thursday at Madison Square Garden. By the way, side note, you see who Buffalo called up, right? Hasn't played a game for them all season, but they put Kesselring on the IR. They called up Zach Jones. Yeah, that's Zach Jones, right? Who, all right, listen, I'll admit it. I have no problem saying Rangers did not do anything wrong by not re-signing him and letting Zach Jones go. There wasn't exactly 31 other teams knocking down the door to sign Zach Jones as free agent this past summer. Okay? Not a bad player. Good puck mover, good on the power play. He's a guy that has stepped up in the past before when Adam Fox was injured a couple years ago. He and Eric Gustafsson really did a good job. That stretch where Fox missed the month of November with the knee injury, those 2 guys stepped in and played some good hockey. And Zach Jones, again, didn't pile up a lot of points, but he's the type guy that can, play the puck quickly up and out of his zone. He certainly can play on the power play. A little bit more experience than a Scotty Morrow, who's still feeling his way in the NHL. Again, I have no issues that the Rangers didn't re-sign Zach Jones. But he would look pretty good right now. Like, you wouldn't mind slotting him in right now with Fox out another month. That said, let Scott Morrow play. Let Scott Morrow play. Let me backtrack for a second. The irony is just what I'm saying. If Zach Jones is on the other blue line for the Sabres at Madison Square Garden Thursday night, it'll be one of those roll your eyes. And if somehow he finds his way onto the score sheet, all hell's going to break loose, with the Ranger faithful. So that's just a sidebar. But Scott Morrow, I know Sully wants to err on the side of caution with these kids. And I understand too the Rangers play so many tight games because they don't score enough, right? So they're always in these 1-2 goal games, games that are decided in the third period, overtime games, all of that. The Rangers can't afford massive defensive lapses. And Sully is really worried about that with these young kids. Defensive play is not Scott Morrow's forte. But I think you got to give him some run on that power play, right? Isn't that the chance to let the kid gain confidence, to really contribute to the Rangers? Because that plays to his strength. Show confidence in him, probably helps build confidence in the kid himself. It's a cause and effect. And listen, his job is to distribute the puck back there. Don't get beat. I know he was on ice for that shorthanded goal when Foxy was out. I get it. It's a risk. He's a risk defensively. I do like Gavrikov playing some power play. I like how he'll go down low. He'll set up the screen. Adds a totally different element. I like how he went to his offside, scored that power play goal in the final game that Fox missed in the first go round. And certainly he's a more reliable defensive player than any other option the Rangers could put out there at the point. Still, I'd have Gavrikov on power play 2. I'd start with Scott Morrow power play 1 when the Rangers get at it with the Sabres. Zach Jones and the Buffalo Sabres. I don't know that Zach's going to play. He might be the extra defenseman. I'm just trying to tweak it, fire up the faithful here. But when the Rangers play the Buffalo Sabres on Thursday. So we'll take a quick break. We'll re-rack. Got some more thoughts. And again, also let you know, we are hoping, I don't want to say the guys' names, but we might have 1, maybe 2 really popular former New York Rangers, including a former captain, joining the show later this week or early next week. Again, fingers crossed and getting everybody's schedules together, but hoping to do that. So that's a little bit of a tease. We'll take a break here. This is Rink Wrap at Forever Blue Shirts. Welcome back to the Rink Wrap podcast. I am Jim Cerny. Thanks for liking and subscribing. You can catch us on YouTube if you want to watch this spectacle. Or you can tune into, any of your favorite audio outlets that wherever you catch your podcasts. We're on Odyssey and of course, Apple and all the spots. So make sure to continue to like and subscribe. We appreciate your support as we flip the calendar to 2026, another year of Rink Wrap. And of course, another year of coverage over at foreverblueshirts.com. Please follow me as well and comment the heck out of me. Good or bad, tell me I'm an idiot, tell me you disagree with me, tell me you like what I do. But I just want to get your feedback. I love hearing from the fans over at X at Jim Cerny, and comments, on our YouTube page as well. Love hearing from you. Appreciate your enthusiasm, intensity, and passion for the Broadway Blue Shirts, who are still in the playoff race. Hey, Igor's out. Adam Fox is out again. JT Miller's missed 7 games. Noah Laba's been out. You play 14 games without Vincent Trocheck. You have, well over 100 games lost this season to injury and illness, but you're still in it. Now, you do have the 15th worst points percentage in the East out of 16 teams, but you're still there. 3 points out of playoff spot. The points percentage is concerning. And teams are making up games in hand on the Rangers. Everybody has at least 1 game in hand on the Rangers in the Eastern Conference. The team that's sitting in the second wild card as we record this podcast is the Pittsburgh Penguins. And that's a big surprise. And you'd argue, I'm open to the argument that, boy, is that sustainable? When you look at their overall roster, is that sustainable? That they're going to be a playoff team this year? Yeah, I'd be surprised. But guess what? Not only are they ahead of the Rangers, 3 points, but they have 3 games in hand. Oof. That's a little cushion. Now listen, it could dissipate in no time because, again, the Penguins, the Flyers, the Rangers, the Senators, the Bruins, right? A lot of mediocrity heading to that final playoff spot in the East. And guess who we have to include in that? In fact, the team that is free falling worse than any team in the NHL, right? I'd argue the Winnipeg Jets are the biggest surprise in how disappointing they've been this season. I mean, they're last in the NHL. How the hell can that be? Right? Taking a page out of the Rangers book last year, as bad as the Rangers were last season, going from winning the President's Trophy to not making the playoffs, only the fourth team in NHL history to accomplish that. Oh, side note, Rangers have done it twice in their history, but I digress. As bad as the Rangers were last season, they didn't finish last in the NHL. And maybe the Winnipeg Jets won't either. Right now, they're last in the NHL after winning the President's Trophy last season. And I get it. Connor Hellebuck was out. Listen, Rangers are going to be facing that too with Igor Shesterkin. Who knows if he'll be out as long, if not longer. Maybe it'll be shorter than how long Hellebuck's been out. And the Rangers will have to deal with that this season. But circling back, the team that's in the biggest free fall right now in the NHL, in the Eastern Conference, right across the Hudson River, the New Jersey Devils. My gosh. They are finding every way to lose. Their defensive game, their goaltending. And Markstrom just, signed that contract extension too. And they're terrible. They got waxed at UBS Arena Tuesday night, 9-0. Now I get it. They outchanced the Islanders. They outshot them badly. The scoring chances, the high danger chances. This is kind of out of the Rangers script this season, right? Outplay a team, end up losing. Typically when the Rangers do it though, they lose 2-1, 3-2. It's a close game. The Devils managed to, own the puck, outplay the Islanders as far as scoring chances and a lot of the metrics, and get their asses handed to them. That's how bad things are going for the Devils right now. Really bad. And I mean, those fans, you talk about Ranger fans. Right now, I find more apathy, which is not a great thing, with Ranger fans. Almost a resigned feel to, we're not going to make the playoffs. The future doesn't look great. Our kids aren't great. Chris Drury's terrible GM. All of that. I tend to get more of that vibe from Ranger fans in general, very, very general take, than I do with Devil fans who are, they are irate, pissed. Like they were pissed with how the season ended last season, like a year ago. The injuries, they wrote a lot of it off to injuries. How they got knocked out, how they stumbled the second half of the season and then got knocked out in the first round of the playoffs. But they re-racked. People, for the most part, were excited about the New Jersey Devils. I really thought it was going to be Devils, Hurricanes. I thought they would battle all season long for the top spot in the Metro. The Devils got off to a good start. And, talk about dumpster fires right now. And, listen, my buddy James Nichols, who works for New Jersey Hockey now, does a hell of a job over there. We talk about this and I read his stuff, and every day there's another trade rumor. How do we fix this? We got to replace this. We got to replace that. This sucks. Is this the right coach? Is Sheldon Keefe the right coach? And the guy that's really under fire is Tommy Fitzgerald, their GM. How did it go so badly? Like I was able to pretty much explain what went wrong with the Rangers last season, both on the ice and the extenuating circumstances around it. This Devil team, I don't get it. And again, there have been injuries. Listen, Jack Hughes stabbing himself or whatever the hell he did doesn't help. That's your best player. But there's so much more beyond that. in any case. So they're in the mix, the mushy middle as well with the Rangers. So, boy, they really seem to be sinking fast in that division. So the Rangers are still in it. We'll see if they can survive this, though. I don't know how long Igor is going to be out. If Igor misses weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, up until, the Olympic break, let's say. And I don't know that that's the case. Maybe he'll be back in 10 days or whatever. I don't know. We don't know. But if it's for a while, here's my Jonathan Quick concern. And I'm not breaking any ground here because I think it's everybody's concern. He's been outstanding this year. Toss the win-loss record out the window. 3-7-1. Rangers they have not given him any goal-scoring support. But the Rangers have been really good. Mike Sullivan, really good plan for Quick this season. That he just hasn't played. He'll go 5-6 days without playing. Then he's in there. He's fresh. It's smart. It's logical. You have Igor Shesterkin in the prime of his career. Play him. And this other guy who we really trust and who's playing really well, we've got the strategy to keep him playing that well. We're just going to play him every 5-6 days. Right? What happens now? If it's 3-4 weeks, again, in the condensed schedule, when the Rangers are going to be playing 3-4 games a week, in the month of January, heading into the Olympic break, where Jonathan Quick has to shoulder the load. Listen, maybe he'll defy us all, and he'll defy the aging process. Again, he turns 40 this month. I mean, he's that great. He certainly has the will and the fire and the passion and the experience to know how to prepare, and come back 2 days later and come back 2 days after that, start games. But will the body be willing? I guess we'll find out because he is their best option. I'd argue that is as good a 1-2 punch in the NHL in goal that the Rangers have. But now you took away a massive part of that equation in Igor Shesterkin. And Quick, again, no knock on anything he's done this season. I think he's been infinitely better this season than he was last season, in part because the Rangers are playing much better defensively as a team in front of him and Igor. Listen, he's been counted on, and a lot has been asked of him in the games that he's played to stand on his head often. What happens when he has to do that 48 hours after he just did it? And then another 48 hours after that? We'll find out. That's going to be the big question. I think it'll catch up to him. And I think it could be the undoing of the Rangers. Right? Not to sound the death knell, because I think whenever assuming Igor comes back within a reasonable time span, even if it's a month, Rangers should be somehow, some way still kind of in this thing, because I don't see teams pulling away. I see the good teams possibly pulling away, but the Rangers were never going to catch the Tampa Bay Lightning for a wild card spot or the Carolina Hurricanes for first place in the Metro. Now, those teams that are on the fringes, like the Rangers are, I'm not sure anybody's going to pull away from them. But we'll see. I could be absolutely wrong. Also, I get the feedback that people not happy, Ranger fans not happy that Spencer Martin got the recall from the minors instead of Dylan Garand. I get it. I want to see Dylan Garand play too. I do. He has not been great this season. He was more consistent last season with Hartford. Now, granted, that's not a really good team in Hartford either. That's not a good team in front of Garand. But they really need him to be and put him in a position to be their best player, and he hasn't been. He's been better of late, but he has not been as consistent as he was a year ago. That said, yeah, of course I'd like to see him. I'd like to know if he's capable at the NHL level. But again, this could be Sully's call, could be the goalie coach's call, could be Chris Jury's call, or just the collective agreement that they just don't believe Dylan Garand is ready. And remember earlier this year when Jonathan Quick missed 2 weeks with the lower body injury, Garand came up. Like, I don't think there was a second thought in Sully's mind that, to give Igor a night off. Even in the back-to-back, Igor played. And listen, that makes sense. Igor's having a hell of a season. He's your number one. Ride him. It wasn't like Quick was going to be out 2 months and you're going to, okay, Igor, you're going to play every game for 2 months now. It wasn't that. It's 2 weeks. But I don't think there was a thought in their mind, in the decision makers' minds with the Rangers, that Garand was going to start one of those games. So Spencer Martin, you sit him behind Quick. Now the question becomes, this is a different scenario because I just laid it out to you. I don't think Jonathan Quick's going to start 4 games in a row. Maybe he will. Maybe he'll prove capable of doing that. But if he doesn't, or if he's unable to, or if you don't want him to, if you're the coaching staff, Spencer Martin, Dylan Garand. Martin has NHL experience. Was recently his last season, stepped in, had that big win against the Rangers, if you remember, on Thanksgiving Eve down in Raleigh. By and by, though, hadn't been great in his NHL career, especially as of late, the last few years. He wasn't great filling in last season for Anderson and Kochetkov in Carolina. He had a couple really good games. He won, I think, a couple games in a row, highlighted by that really, really exceptional. I thought he was really good against the Rangers on Thanksgiving Eve. But overall, again, I didn't see all of those starts. You look at the numbers and he was, meh. We're not talking about a world-class goalie, but we are talking about a guy who has a lot of experience in the minors, has some considerable experience in the NHL, including, last season. Will he get those starts that Jonathan Quick doesn't make? Or is Garand here now because they know that Quick's going to, start Thursday, probably start Saturday afternoon, and they just need somebody behind him to be the backup. And they figure, well, let's let Garand play in the minors this weekend. And when we need somebody to start, when Quick, we'll bake in whatever his day off is, excuse me, we'll call up Garand. He'll get that opportunity. I think that's a possibility. But the safe play, and again, just seeing how Sully feels about these younger players, sheltering them. Not sure that he just wouldn't go with Martin instead of Garand. I guess we'll find that out. Speaking decisions, holy hell. People are pissed, and I was shocked. I'll admit it. I was really surprised to see Urho Vakanainen replace Matthew Robertson in the lineup Monday against Utah. What I wasn't surprised by was that, Vakanainen was a step slow against that team. And obviously, he got, toasted pretty badly on the game-tying goal. He didn't look great. He hadn't looked great all year. But he specifically didn't look great there. Now, part of that's not, you could argue, well, he's scratched, what was it, 7 of the previous 8 games or whatever the number is. He hadn't played a lot. But why? Unless Matthew Robertson was a little dinged up or something and we don't know about it. Robertson played, 23 minutes at the Winter Classic? I don't know. I think the kids played really well. What did we play? 25 consecutive games before he was a scratch on Monday? Listen, Matthew Robertson's not the be-all, end-all here. I get it. but it's a pretty steady third pair defenseman. Guy willing to take a shot, when he's got the opportunity offensively. Guy is pretty good in his own ends, pretty good getting the puck out of his own ends. Plays a somewhat physical game, certainly has good size. He's a strong kid. I'm not sure that I'd be taking him out of the lineup. I didn't see it. Unless I've totally missed something in the Winter Classic. But if I did, if something was so egregious that he deserves to sit, why did he play 23 minutes? Anyway, Urho Vakanainen, Monday night. Wasn't pretty. Looks like they rotated the third pair, the players on the third pair. Morrow, of course, we know, got called up. He worked in on the third pair. Robertson, Vakanainen. I would assume that Morrow's going to be in the lineup Thursday against the Sabres. I guess we'll see. He was running point on the top power play during practice. We'll see. But Vakanainen, listen, I don't like running guys down. I've just never seen it with him. I didn't see the rush to sign him to a 2-year contract in the offseason. I didn't see the rush to basically anoint him, as a regular in the lineup to start this season. And now, since he's been usurped by Robertson and has become the 7th D, I didn't see the reason to put him back in there on Monday. Like, is he an adequate extra defenseman in the NHL? Yeah. Yeah. He's not terrible. Do you want him to be a regular in your lineup? Is he a regular in your lineup if you're a playoff team? I'd say not. We'll see what happens on Thursday. We'll take a quick break. This is Rink Wrap at Forever Blueshirts. Welcome back to the Rink Wrap podcast here at Forever Blueshirts. I am Jim Cerny. Again, thanks for liking and subscribing to the podcast. And, appreciate all of you that head to foreverblueshirts.com and read our material. In fact, as soon as I get the headsets off and done recording this, going to write another column about what's next for the Rangers after the injuries that they're dealing with, after the announcements of the injuries to Adam Fox and Igor Shesterkin, but also a little bit of positive news too. Looks like JT Miller is going to be back in the lineup against the Sabres on Thursday. The captain's missed 7 games with an upper body injury. JT's been trending to return sooner rather than later for, the past week or so. Almost thought that he might play Monday, but the Rangers played cautious. They had 2 more off days, another practice. Looks like he's going to be in there on Thursday. He took a regular turn at practice, in the rotation in the top 6, reclaiming his spot there. He's out of the no contact jersey. And Sully even said, barring something bad happening, JT's going to be back in the lineup. So that's good news. Clearly the Rangers thought that anyway when they sent Brett Berard back to Hartford on Tuesday afternoon. So Rangers were feeling good about JT's return even before practice on Wednesday. So, that's some good news. Other good news injury-wise, Noah Laba took part in practice today wearing the no contact jersey, but that's good. Doesn't look like he's going to be a long or longer term issue. Good to see him out there. Listen, again, people slot in. When JT comes back to the lineup, that kind of sets your top 6 a little bit better. Noah Laba comes back when he does, that sets up your bottom 6 better. You get your third line center back. Again, no disrespect to the veteran Justin Dowling. But Noah Laba, what they really miss with him in there, when he's not in there, is the speed element that he brings. And again, that circles back to what we were saying about, how they just look slow against Utah on Monday. These really good skating teams, Rangers look slow. They miss Noah Laba. They miss his speed when he's not in there. Not to mention the grit. And, listen, he's good at in the faceoff circle. There are a lot of good things he does. He's committed to the 200-foot game. He brings an energy to the lineup. So there's a lot to like about Noah Laba, but the one key element they really miss, and you really see it, and you see it in a game like Monday, is the speed element and how quickly he gets in on the forecheck, and how he can get in on a rush because of his speed, and how he gets back quickly too, to get back into the defensive zone. Though they miss that. So anyway, he's not going to be playing Thursday, but hopefully it will be sooner rather than later. So listen, I have a message to you. It's not all over, right? If you told me Igor Shesterkin is out for the season, I'd tell you, yeah, you're probably not going to make the playoffs. Oh, and Adam Fox for at least the next month is going to be out of the lineup too. I'd say that's probably too much for this team to handle, too much for them to bear, right? Too much weight to bear, because there's not a lot of depth with the New York Rangers. I will say, I will give them credit, and it starts with the head coach, and it goes through everybody through the dressing room. I will give the New York Rangers credit for being resilient this season. Again, I've called them a mediocre team. I've, kind of talked about their lack of depth on the roster. They are what they are. But they haven't quit this season. Saw a lot of quit in them last season, especially that November-December stretch. Right? Submarine their season. Haven't seen that this year. And I don't think we're going to see it. There's no feeling sorry for themselves. I saw a lot of that last season. They tread water. They treaded water when Trocheck was out a month. They treaded water when Fox was out an extended time. They treaded water without their captain. This is a bigger challenge. Shesterkin and Fox out of the lineup at the same time. I get it. It's not easy. And they're probably, in the big picture, they're going to lose more often than they win. Forget about the NHL version of 500, where 18-6 for the Rangers, makes them above average, above 500 team, because they get the 6 losers points as well. So they're going to lose more than they're going to win, probably. But there's no quit. I know people get frustrated and they're angry about how the construction of the roster, and they're not happy with Chris Drury. But for the group that's out there, starting with the head coach, you could go through the rest of the coaching staff too. There are tons of warts on this team, but they hang in there and they play a committed defensive game. So I don't see how, I know some people say, I hate this team. They're not. No, I don't see that. I can call them out for not being that good of a team, being mediocre. That's my go-to for them, because they are. But they're not a team, I don't think, that you can hate. You can be angry at the GM for the construction of the team or the lack of depth. But I don't think you can be angry that you can hate this group. I just don't feel that way about them. I will tell you that in the next edition of Rink Wrap, we're really going to dive into what happens next. We're going to be talking a lot about what happens next with the Rangers from Chris Drury's point of view, and how do you handle Artemi Panarin ahead of the trade deadline? What do you do for the team ahead of the trade deadline? A lot depends on what happens this month. Without Fox, without Shesterkin, with Shesterkin, no matter what, whoever's there, let's see where it ends up. Still a lot of question marks. I don't think Chris Drury's throwing up his hands right now and giving up on the season. But how the Rangers handle this massive adversity over the next weeks or longer, if that's the case, that will determine what the Rangers will do ahead of the trade deadline, which comes March 6th, by the way, just so you know. Put it on your calendar. Thanks for tuning in to Rink Wrap again. I know I gave you the little tease, fingers crossed, hoping to have some really, really special guests coming your way. Guests I know you will like coming up either the end of this week or beginning of next week. Thanks for tuning in. Happy New Year. And let's see what happens with the New York Rangers. See if we get a little more light shed on how long Igor Shesterkin's been out and how the Rangers and Jonathan Quick handle it. Cheers, everybody.